What's going on, everybody? It's OSRS Nirvana, and today we're going to be talking about a new skill in OSRS, which is very interesting. So, to my understanding, sailing was pulled in 2015 in one of the dev blogs, and it did not pass. Now, I kind of see why that happened. Looking back on the state of the game during that time, people did have a very different perspective, I think. They were a lot more weary of allowing Jagex to change the game that we all love because we did see what happened with RS3. But I think now that we have kind of seen OSRS evolve throughout the years, that we're more comfortable with like making a change like this. And so I believe that this really could pass. And in my opinion, I do think sailing is the best skill that could happen. I know that warding was pulled last time, I'm pretty sure, and it did not pass. And I think there's a few reasons why sailing would be the best option here. And ultimately, it comes down to it's already a familiar topic, so old players and new players alike, if they're any type of familiar with RuneScape lore, they're gonna recognize that because it was kind of a meme back in the day. And not only that, but I think there's just so many possibilities and so much that you can do with the sailing skill. So like, I know some other YouTubers have shown this already, but when you take a look at the map of Gielinor, there's so much dead space out there that's water. And you look at these different like plots of land here, little islands. Not only could the game utilize these ones that are already in place, but they could add new ones into the game. So whole new areas, but they could also, use pre-existing assets, which I think would be extremely beneficial for them and it could save some time. Now, one thing I really haven't heard anyone bring up with the whole sailing thing is I think the concept of piracy would be very cool in a skill like sailing. So, for example, um, you could have sailing and it could just be, PvE, I guess, or something like that. In the normal constraints of Gielinor, but if you go into the wilderness or there's like wilderness islands, in that case you could be attacked by other players and even like groups of players, so there could be like clans or groups for this, and it would basically be like piracy. So your loot that you've garnered throughout that period could be stolen, if you lose the raid or the battle per se. And on the other hand, if you win, there's things that you could take from the others. And so I think something like that would be very cool. Um, just kind of a scattered video here, my initial thoughts, because I did just hear about this. I'm interested to hear what you guys think, though. Definitely let me know in the comments, because in a game like Old School RuneScape, major changes are far and few between compared to other games, even though we have seen more changes in recent times, which I'm glad. I think that's a good thing for the health of the game and for the longevity. And I know, you have your traditionalist players that don't want to see any changes, but at the same time, this isn't the same game that we're playing now that it was in 2007. And I think, along with many others, that it is a better game now. The original 2007 platform was missing, a variety of quality of life aspects that we do have now, just for, one example. And so I think that um, building upon the game that we already have in a healthy way is a great thing. And in this case, a new skill definitely can work. It just has to be done perfect, in my opinion. So little room for error with this. Jagex has one chance here, and they could screw it up. And honestly, if they mess up a skill, it could be so detrimental to the game that a lot of players start to leave, as we've seen in the past with this game in its original format. Hated updates like getting rid of the wilderness and things like that kind of excluded a major part of the player base, and a lot of people left. So, something like this has to be handled very carefully and thought through. And I think if they do that, that this will be, a good thing ultimately. Now with sailing, I think that on top of like the whole piracy thing that I was talking about, you as I mentioned, you could just have your, non-wilderness islands per se or ports, and kind of just have those level based. So you could use like some of the lower end ones, like in Port Sarum, for low level players, and you could scale that all the way up into brand new islands with new bosses for higher level sailing players. And I think if they can really tie in other skills to this skill, it would be tremendous. So what I mean by that is, say that your boat gets attacked or breaks down, your construction level can determine the type of repairs you can make, or if you need someone else, or if you just have to turn back. Um, Smithing, to make cannonballs to fire from the ship during the sailing skill. You could have various kinds of cannonballs that are used for, different ships, for example. There's a lot of ways to go with this, and I think that having it involve other skills is a great idea at this point in the game, because the game has been out for so long. A lot of players already are maxed or high level in other things, and so being able to really utilize the other skills that players have worked on to help with this one, I would be totally happy with, rather than, having other skills be worthless. I think, bringing use to skills is a great thing. Otherwise, why train them, right? Um, on top of that, I think that this should be one of the last skills released. Now, I've heard some people say that, they want this to be the last skill released ever in RuneScape. And, I can see that side of it, and the truth is, I'm really not 100% sure yet. I do think it should be the only skill released for years, a couple years at least. But if it's done well, I think that we can see, maybe even another skill or two somewhere down the line. It's really uncharted territory here, so it's hard to say, but that being said, having it be a skill that takes a lot of time to, max out and accomplish everything, I would like to see this skill, take, you know, tons of time to complete fully and satisfactory. And I think having high skills, high levels in other skills could help do this, So if you're making a fresh account, for example, and you're working on this skill, you're going to need construction, you're going to need smithing, you're going to need things like this to be able to, progress the skill all the way. And that's kind of just my take on it. Again, like I said, I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about this skill. Just kind of a mixed thought video off the cuff. But yeah, sailing could be a good thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Appreciate it. Peace.